This is the fourth and final round of the Magical tournament that we had in Portland, Oregon at the Portland Game Store in April of 2026. This tournament is part of a tournament series at that store called the Trials of Spring. Top of the screen is Paul playing an Avatar of Air deck, and then Landon is at the bottom of the screen also playing Avatar of Air. Landon was able to do the video recording, so setting up the camera and taking the videos for this event, so I do appreciate that an awful lot. I think this is a really cool tournament series, and I want to make sure that we get that shared out with the community. They're walking through their turns a little bit. They had a late start in turning on the camera on this game, so we're coming in on turn I think turn 4. Paul's avatar is also an Avatar of Air, like I said. He's using a proxy though, with alternate arts. Proxies were allowed in this tournament for avatars only, and that was just because like this tournament series already has like kind of like a locked pool of avatars per event. Like there's a pool of 6 avatars you get to choose from to build the deck and take to each of the various tournaments, like kind of like thematically collected. And we didn't want to restrict players further by locking them out of maybe an avatar they couldn't afford. And that really, at this point in time, I keep saying it, but it really only applies to the alpha avatars. The alpha elemental avatars there, so like Avatar of Air, Earth, Water, Fire. Both of them have both of them have been able to get bottomless pits out. I don't know how relevant those are going to be in these matchups. Avatar of Air decks typically like to have a high count of airborne minions when running bottomless pit, just because your pieces are immune to the effects of that site, and then you can capitalize on things like Wuthering Heights and the avatar's push ability to push your opponent's things into the pit so they die. Landon getting out a Sturmgeist here, and Sturmgeist starting to make some quick work of the Tooth Fairies that are floating around on the board. 4 mana for a Withering Hero, and then flying it forward from the Wuthering Heights that it was cast onto. Avatar of Air is flying itself with its ability, and I think Landon's just doing a reposition on the fly action from Wuthering Heights. Just I think taking another look, making sure that's where he wants to place the Witherwing, and then it looks like he's landing on his original choice there. Passing turn back. It is now Paul's turn. I think Paul was able to ramp on turn 4 with that Dark Tower, but unfortunately, I didn't see any big plays from him with that at that point. Now, currently with 4 mana in his mana pool. The site that all the units are on there. Paul's avatar, Witherwing, and the Sturmgeist. I think that is an Updraft Ridge. Updraft Ridge also very relevant in Avatar of Air matchups, especially mirror matches, because like I said before, most of, if not all of, their minions are going to be airborne, and be able to take advantage of that +1 when determining path of movement. Paul, it looks like Paul is in a bind here. he's not quite sure what he wants to do. And I see an unorthodox card in his hand. He's got a Riddle Sphinx. Again, like this tournament was flavor forward, and what we encouraged the players to kind of, you know, experiment with avatars that they may not necessarily play with or get a chance to play with normally, and experiment with fun cards that you know, don't necessarily make the top cut in meta, but would be cool to see on the table. So Paul is really good about embracing that. If you've seen him in any of the other gameplay footage, every time I catch him playing, he's always trying something really fun and interesting and off meta, and has a decent amount of success with it. It should be noted that for the first 3 rounds of this tournament, I think they filmed table 5, and we talked about that in some previous recordings. But we switched to like recording like a middle or a lower table throughout most of the tournament series, just to get a little more diversity in games and players that are showing up on camera. This last round, though, is the table 1 for round 4, the final match here. Paul choosing to grapple shot his Tooth Fairy into the Sturmgeist. Sturmgeist will take a strike because of its ability, and then he's attempting to kind of attack in with the Tooth Fairies. And the problem with that is that he forgot, which he has just now discovered, that the Withering Hero is still adjacent and able to defend with the Tooth Fairies. So that's just a really bad situation for Paul. He's going to lose like 2 cards on that exchange and not gain anything. Landon being very nice and letting him just roll that back. With the information that he has a grapple shot in his hand now. And then Paul, I think, still just like struggling with to find a solution to both the Sturmgeist and the Witherwing at this point in time. And I don't know if he has one at 4 mana. Faced with no better options there, he's going to just attack in for 2 points with the Tooth Fairy again. And it looks like he's passing turn. Just a really bad turn for Paul to be in there, just without a play to make. Like I said, unfortunately, the Sturmgeist is sitting on an Updraft Ridge. Updraft Ridge imparting +1 to the range of motion on anything that kind of passes through it when it moves. So unfortunately for Paul, what Landon could do is attack with a Sturmgeist back down onto his home site, and basically just remove that Tooth Fairy. Without having to lose anything. It does put the Sturmgeist somewhat out of position, but its ability does kind of allow it to carry itself forward or punish your opponent if they ever play any magic spells. It looks like instead he's just choosing to attack in. And get both pieces in position on the Wuthering Heights. Not Wuthering Heights, excuse me, Updraft Ridge. So that was a 7-point attack with both of those pieces. Mirror Realm, Mirroring, and Wuthering Heights, playing out Legion of Gaul for 5 mana now, all 5 mana in Landon's mana pool. I think he cast it on to the mirrored Wuthering Heights and then used that sight ability to fly the Legion back onto the Tinge Gel on Paul's back row. And then just taking a quick look and removing some of his collection tech there. Debating. It looks like Landon is debating whether or not he wants to take a fly reposition with his avatar, and it looks like he is. He's moving it a little more centrally. Paul drawing a spell for turn. It looks like he's digging for some answers here. He's got a lot of threats on the board that he has to come up with answers for. And it is a tricky situation for him here. Just facing them. There's a lot of raw power from Landon presented on the board. He's got that Legion for 5 power, the Withering for 4, Sturmgeist for 3. All of them on his side of the board. All of them with Airborne. Just that evasiveness keyword is a very strong keyword in the game, and especially in other like limited formats, it's a keyword at a premium, and then it can be, even in constructed, difficult to deal with, just because it limits how you are allowed to interact with those minions. Paul playing a Thin Ice on his back row here. So tapping his avatar to do that. That brings his mana pool up to 5 now. Untapping his Tooth Fairy because he forgot to do that at the beginning of turn here. Using the Avatar of Air. Using the Avatar of Air to fly the Witherwing, and then playing a Scatter to push both the Legion of Gaul and the Withering onto Thin Ice. At end of turn, they represent 5 or more power from minions on the site, and they will submerge and die. A really creative solution by Paul to take care of some of those threats on the board. He does take 3 points of damage from the Sturmgeist from playing the magic spell. He can't get away from that, so that brings the life totals to 10 and 10. But honestly, taking 3 points of damage, probably worth it to remove those two threats from the board. Just because Paul was going to be in a world of hurt if he could not get rid of a 5 power and a 4 power. Looks like Landon deciding to make that extended move and attack with the Sturmgeist to remove the Tooth Fairies. So that's just like a free exchange for Landon. He doesn't have to lose anything. It does somewhat put his Sturmgeist out of position. But as we can see right now, he had a solution for that. He decided to grapple shot it directly back on top of Paul's avatar. And I think that they untapped it by accident, but it should still be tapped because it tapped to attack the Tooth Fairies, and then it grapple shots itself forward and strikes, but it's still tapped where it is. Paul playing a bottomless pit, tapping his avatar. That brings him to 6 mana in his mana pool, which is a lot of mana, but I guess he wanted to play the Riddle Sphinx. Probably because he I think he feels a lot of pressure to have a body on board here to combat this Stormgeist that has been terrorizing him the entire game. Riddle Sphinx, an interesting ability, which is a really kind of an interesting card. It just unfortunately never sees much play. It's not really costed efficiently enough in its card design. So like 6 mana, 6 mana is a lot for a 4-power minion. Even with Airborne, even with the cute ability that it has to kind of look at a card top of the deck and then have your opponent choose whether or not to leave it there or send it to the bottom, something to that effect. I think Landon just random rolled to make his decision. I think like the design theory on that one probably is that like it presents like kind of like a mind game trap for your opponent. Like, oh, like, you know, like, is that card good that he's looking at? Is it, you know, and it's on the top of his deck? Do I want to put it at the bottom, or is it a trick and he wants me to mill it to the bottom or something like that? But again, like it's an interesting card. It's a really interesting card. It just costs too much to really get it out into play that often, and you almost never see it being played. But Paul is playing it here, obviously, just because, again, like I said, this was a fun format, a fun tournament series. It encouraged players to get weird with their deck designs, to kind of don't be afraid to play those pet cards that you think are super cool. They just you know, don't make the cut in meta deck design. Stormgeist continuing to just pound away at Paul here. 3 points of damage attacking in. Landon, I think he flew the Riddle Sphinx off into the corner there, just so Paul would not have a way to defend. And I mean, I think technically the Stormgeist could also have just attacked into the Dark Tower as well, and the Riddle Sphinx wouldn't have been able. It would have been able to. I take that back. It would have been able to with Updraft Ridge. And actually, Paul could have chosen to defend the Stormgeist attack with the Riddle Sphinx where it is now, pathing through Updraft Ridge. It's a sneaky interaction with that card, and I've showcased it before in some other Avatar of Error videos that we've uploaded to the channel. But basically, like if your Airborne unit can declare a path of motion through Updraft Ridge, it's going to gain that +1 passive effect and impart it as it leaves the site. So even though it only has like one movement when it starts, it will gain that additional one when it touches Updraft Ridge, and then it continues on. So I think that, but unfortunately, that's just something that like both Paul and Landon missed. Paul bounces around from between a lot of avatars, just because he likes a lot of variety in the game from what I have seen, and so he doesn't have like he's not one of those he's not like an Avatar of Air meta player, so he's not grinding away like 50, 60, 70 reps with the deck. I think he likely just like he built the deck and maybe got 1 or 2 reps in before this tournament, so he's not really like as familiar with all of the abilities and all of the tricks that the deck can have. Paul with a Whirling Blades. Whirling Blades can get rid of. It can get rid of the Stormgeist. It can deal a lot of damage to Landon. The only issue is that it's a magic spell, and so as he casts it, Stormgeist will trigger. It will deal 3 more points of damage. and bring him to door. And so the question is it worth dooring yourself to remove the Sturmgeist and deal, I think, would it be like whirling blades onto Landon's avatar for 4 and then attack for 4 more undefended? It's a tough situation to be, and honestly, like without seeing like what other options are open to Paul in his hand, and it's probably the best option for him. You just Hail Mary and hope that Landon does not have and you hope that Landon doesn't have a kill spell in his hand. There's a lot of things that could kill Paul at door there, just like a Ring of Morgan, a toolbox, into any number of solutions in the collection, a lightning bolt in the main deck, a Gyre Hippogriffs with charge. A lot of things could do it. Avenging Angel if Landon is playing Avenging Angel. So Paul just resigned to going to door there. I think that was correct. That was the best play open to him. The best play open to him there. And then he can't really get away is the problem. I didn't mention it before, but I think on the previous turn Landon played a Sphere of Animosity there on the table. Sphere of Animosity going to lock down Paul and prevent him from moving between those 4 sites. So like he can only move within those 4 sites. He can't move outside of it. So it is very difficult for him to get away. He could fly himself from Updraft Ridge to the Bottomless Pit to get into like that corner of the board. But again, it doesn't provide like a ton of protection from a lot of the kill spell answers that Landon probably has in his deck. His Avatar of Air could just kind of move 1 site and cast magic missiles, or again, like I said, like a lightning bolt, zap, any number of things. Gyre Hippogriffs even. Again, like yes, he's still in position for a Gyre Hippogriff. Landon does have a solution, it sounds like. It's the flanking maneuver that we saw earlier. He's going to flanking maneuver to teleport in and then just strike with the avatar, strike with his own avatar for the final point. A fun game to watch. I think that I think Paul might have had a little bit more of a fighting chance if he had remembered or known that he could have defended the Sturmgeist attack with the Riddle Sphinx over Updraft Ridge. Well, that concludes the Magical Trials of Spring tournament here in this series. Thank you guys for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.